Hello ladies and gents, and welcome to week 4 of English 235. Hopefully you guys are staying warm and cozy today on this snowy, chilly morning. This week we are taking a look at our calendar. Today's the 25th. We're almost done with January. Can you believe that? Crazy. So let's take a look. We're going to be starting work on our abstract and summary assignment. We're going to be doing some reading on how to take ideas, condense them, and make them into a more accessible form, particularly the form of a newsletter. This is something that you might be asked to write if you are either lucky or unlucky, depending on how you look at it, in your work setting. I know there were many times just because I could write in a way that people mostly understood in my emails that I got asked to write the company newsletter as well, which was something I didn't necessarily want to do. But sometimes you just get asked to do these things, right? Oftentimes companies have these little inner office newsletters as like a morale booster or a way to share important information in a more interesting way, although interesting is a negotiable term. So it's a pretty popular way to make information accessible in a workplace, and could be something you're tapped to do if you demonstrate an ability to write coherently and concisely. So good to get a little practice just in case it ever comes your way. We're also going to be working on writing an abstract, which is a much condensed version of a much larger piece of information. All of that information is, of course, linked in your assignment. We'll go over it here real quick. So this assignment has two parts, as most of our assignments have up to this point. First, you're going to be writing a short abstract. Now, an abstract is, in this case, 100 words or less. So we're talking really short. But the challenge of the abstract is that you have to write something so short about an article that's a page long. So you have to take a whole page and condense it into just 100 words, which sounds easy, but when you're trying to talk about all the main ideas in their process, it becomes more challenging. The article you get to read is called Eyeing Myopia, which I think is a really interesting article, particularly now that we're spending so much time looking at screens. This article talks about a scientific experiment where researchers were trying to figure out what makes people myopic. How are our eyes changing shape depending on how we use them, and is it making us nearsighted or farsighted? How is it affecting our vision? And since we are focusing on screens much more so than we ever have in the past. So many things are virtual. Many of us are teleworking. So there's lots of reasons why this article might be particularly poignant right now. So read through this. They did a really interesting experiment with chicks where they obscured parts of their vision with little shields, and then they measured how the eyes were shaped afterwards. Really cool stuff. So this breaks down how you need to do it. You do need to limit it to 100 words, which can be tricky, while still communicating all the major ideas. So in a sentence or two, we want to talk about the key topic, want to describe the approach, and then state major conclusions. And I've got information in the modules that will help you do all of this. So we'll pop over there in just a minute. There's also a link to writing abstracts, another great web page lesson for you if you prefer that form of learning. The second thing you're going to be doing is writing an article for a company newsletter. In this particular scenario, you are placing yourself in a role. So we're adopting a character. We get to be a little bit dramatic here. We're going to pretend that you are an assistant communications manager for a leading software development company. So as that person, you are going to be writing this newsletter article. What information from this very interesting article about workplace differences and how people learn and communicate, what parts of this article do you think would be most interesting to your colleagues at a software development company? So you're going to be pulling out pieces of information from this article that you think best fit this audience. And then you're going to be writing your article. This article should also be short. Newsletters are normally a page or two long, and they have multiple articles in them. So we don't want to hog all the space with just one article. So don't exceed 250 words here. Keep it nice and short as you're sharing information with your colleagues about how people learn, how people communicate, and how we can all work together better once we have this knowledge of different styles. There's some helpful information on citation, so do make sure to read through this carefully. And then I've got some tips for you on how to adapt an article for a newsletter, how we're changing with our audience awareness in that particular rhetorical setting. We do have additional helpful materials in the modules for you, always, right? So feel free to take a look at that as we scroll down to the abstract and newsletter article folder. I've got a recorded lecture about abstracts and summaries I hope that you find helpful. I go into great detail on how to compose both of these types of writing, breaking it down into pieces and steps, how to structure, how to format. And then if you're interested in practicing before time, there's a great article called Is Google Making Us Stupid? How our brains are changing the way we're accessing, identifying, and incorporating information based on search engines, based on the accessibility of information with just a few keywords typed in instead of having to go to a library and find all the books and read all the books. It's a whole different process. So of course our brains are adapting. If you want to get practice, you could read through this article, kind of practice summarizing the ideas. I talk about that more in the recorded lecture too. Here's the prompt if you want it in doc form, if you like being able to print things out and annotating them. I've got some help on newsletter articles and different rhetorical situations you might find them in the workplace. I've got a recorded lecture there. I've linked the article here. Of course, it's linked in the assignments as well, but if you want another place to have it, here it is. And then I've got some sample newsletters. You don't have to format your newsletter in any of these kind of styles. It can just be a Word document. But I just wanted to show you what some professional newsletters might look like in case you encounter them later on. So lots of good stuff available for us there. I've had a few of you ask about extra credit. If you're interested in earning extra credit, you absolutely can. Fabulous. I love those questions. The way to earn extra credit in this class is to schedule an appointment with the Online Writing Center. You can do this up to 3 times during the quarter for extra credit. You can schedule as many sessions as you want for help. Absolutely, please do it all the time. But to earn extra credit, just 3 times. Send me an email with the tutor's feedback, and then I will enter those points for you in the gradebook. And this link will take you right to scheduling if you want to have them look at your abstract and summary, or if you want to have them look at anything you submit in this class. Always an option for you there. So lots of good stuff coming our way this week as we continue to work on abstracts and summaries. I am planning on using this week for a lot of grading, so expect to see some updates to your grades by Friday. If you have any questions about those, of course, reach out, send me an email. I'm here to help. Stay warm and cozy out there, guys. Have a great week. Let me know if you have any questions.